Thrill of the Fight 2. It's currently the closest thing to real boxing without the head trauma. It's a way where you can practice your boxing all from the comfort of your own living room. So, should you try boxing in VR? Yes. Nah, let me explain. Some people have said that VR boxing is like an evolution of shadow boxing, although I don't think that's exactly true. While shadow boxing involves imagining your opponent, and actual boxing has a physical opponent, Thrill of the Fight 2 exists somewhere in the middle. You can definitely improve your offensive skills, such as your jab, cross, hooks, uppercuts, overhands, and you can improve your defensive skills, distance management, head movement, and blocking. Personally, I do think this game can be taken to its full potential with some form of boxing training already under your belt. Understanding stance, how to throw basic strikes, understanding basic guards. These are all things you can learn from your local boxing gym or even YouTube, but each to their own. At the end of the day, you do what you find fun. Now, the game itself. When you first enter into the game, I'm gonna be honest, it's kinda barren. You essentially have two options: train on the fighting dummy, or enter into a ranked match. There is a third option of starting a private lobby and fighting your friends, but I don't have any of those. You do have the ability to customize your character, so that's always nice. It's important to note that by the time of recording this video, the game is technically in early access. The team seems to be extremely receptive to feedback in their Discord, and they also have a roadmap available for everyone to view, so we can see what they've completed and what they're working on. For example, it looks like we have a new venue on the horizon, with 5 more after that. So the positives of this game. When I first loaded into this game, I was genuinely amazed by how realistic it felt. Currently, it is hands down the closest thing we have to simulated boxing. There's currently 2 movement modes, standing and room scale. Standing is where you use the controller to navigate the ring, and room scale is where you can physically move around if you have the space available. Minimum 2.5 by 2 meters. I definitely think this game should be played in room scale if you have the room. It makes the experience way more authentic, but either mode is fine. Now, this game is genuinely a workout. I burn approximately 110 calories every 10 minutes, and I usually try to box for at least 45 minutes straight, and I leave dripping. My poor quest. Right now, I feel like the Thrill of the Fight 2 is particularly good for improving your striking speed, accuracy and crispness, head movement, and your distance management, especially if you have the space for movement mode, aka room scale. Now, the negatives. Right now, I feel like there's 2 paths you can follow. Path 1, stick to proper technique so you don't build bad habits. Path 2, start spamming to climb the ladder. It really feels like spammers are rewarded. I mean, it could be a skill issue, but my ego says otherwise. Beware of the hook swingers. What I particularly find frustrating is that if this happened in an actual fight, you would throw a jab or a cross straight down the pipe to rock them, and I feel like this does not translate at all currently. I think a way to combat this is if the game senses that your hands are wide, leaving your head exposed, damage taken could be somewhat amplified, or maybe knockback, although I feel like that might get exploited. Spamming is much more manageable in larger spaces as you have the ability to keep your distance and they will just tire out, but if you're caught in a small space, prepare to get flustered. As I understand, the team is currently working on a new damage system which will give some damage amplifier to combinations. I'm yet to see that, so I'm pretty excited. Also, this game does have the potential to build bad habits. For example, you might get the most power from throwing a wild haymaker or overhand, but doing this without the right technique can really damage your wrist, and if you don't have the right defensive capabilities, you might leave yourself wide open. Now, this is more a personal negative, but I don't think parries are a thing in this game. Parry is when you divert a punch rather than block. It's a disruption. This is something I particularly like to do in actual boxing, and I'm not sure if you can really translate this well to the Thrill of the Fight 2 with online and desync and everything else, but if you can, I would really much appreciate that. I feel like a lot of the negatives can be worked out over time, and I think the big thing that this game can benefit from is just more content. So for example, more training modes. Currently, it's just one dummy to understand the damage, but what would be perfect would be like a bot or an AI training partner where I can select what strike they throw. For example, a jab. This would really help me understand which blocks work best, my actual distance, slipping. I think that would be really good for practice. I also think this game would benefit from some kind of story mode or single player mode, just something to chill out in, because like I said, you're either training on a single dummy or you're just going straight into a ranked match. I think the training modes and a story mode would be something that I could introduce to my friends who aren't necessarily fighters. It's like either fight this stationary dummy or commit to a full fight. With all that, do I recommend this game? Yeah, I do, especially if you're into martial arts. I'm definitely of the opinion that everyone should do some form of martial arts for a year, at least wrestling, Muay Thai, BJJ, boxing, whatever you feel, whatever's local. Just I feel like doing something is just nothing but a benefit. And this game is, I think, a really good introduction into the world of boxing without the fear of taking damage in real life. If you take some tutorials from YouTube and go into this game and practice a thing or two each time, I do think there are a lot of benefits this game can pull. I do feel like I've definitely gotten fitter and I've been able to go in and practice one or two things each match, and I believe my boxing game has improved. Are there negatives? Yeah, of course. Obviously, online can be a bit hit and miss. Obviously, the spam is in the main game, but like I said, a lot of these negatives I think will just be phased out over time, and the team is extremely receptive, what I like. So, with all that said, go get yourself in the ring.